And now this game. Just got done talking about the Chelsea game today. Not even gonna bother changing my shirt. So Heinze has some questions to answer now. And it's sad because, I've been excited. I've been enjoying watching so far. And then this game happens. And now he's got some questions to answer. In fact, a couple players have some questions to answer. So, yeah, first let's talk about it from Heinze. Obviously, still early days with the selection, so can't really judge too much on that. Obviously, with Brooks Lennon still out from head injury, you got to figure out what you're going to do with the lineup. And what he did was a little weird, if I'm being honest, because kind of what ended up happening. So he had Robinson and Franco as your two center. Bello was kind of the left wing back, kind of. Most of the time he was also left back. Sosa would again drop in kind of the center of the center back three. Ibarra was kind of the right back on defense, but then would get into the midfield whenever we had possession. Dom would be on the right side most of the time, playing like a wing position ish. Heineman was kind of your center guy that stayed central, and then you had Barco and behind Martinez, and Moreno was kind of just that left sided guy, but also you kind of floated everywhere. So yeah, it's just I don't know it. I feel like the lineup was a little weird. It felt very fluid, which most of the time is not a bad thing. But tonight felt like it kind of worked against us because there were moments where it felt like I don't know who's supposed to be where, and it felt like sometimes the players didn't know who's supposed to be where. And again, we don't really have like an organizational mind in the back line anymore. Parkhurst is not there to organize anymore. So who's doing the organization? Didn't seem like anybody was. And again, we looked disorganized defensively. And honestly, this is not the first time this has been an issue. Like pretty much every single game we've looked disorganized defensively. This is just the first time we've been made to pay for it, and paid a lot for it. Because the goal was basically the same goal. Okay, little different than the goal against Chicago. The goal against Chicago was just poor defending, and then a slip, and then nobody else was ready for it. This was just nobody gets on the front post to make that clearance, and then players just turn off as it comes across the box and easy tap in. So this one was much more like just everybody kind of turned off for a second, and then it happened early in the second half, and then from there we're pushing to try to get a goal, which then opens ourselves even more, and then they just constantly went at us, and it was easy for them after that. And it's disappointing because you go into the second leg 1-0 down. That's doable. It's going to be difficult because they've shown they'll do whatever it takes to keep us from getting back there, whether it means getting all 11 men in the box or whether it means faking 500 injuries to waste time. They'll do what it takes to get the job done. So going there on 1-0 down is difficult, but it's doable. We can get that early goal. Now they have to push a bit more, which means they have to open up against us, which means now that's our game. That's what we want them to do. And so now we've set ourselves up well. But you open yourself up so poorly and refuse to defend well, and then suddenly now you're 3-0 down going to the second leg. And now it's basically an undoable task. I highly, highly doubt, unless for some reason one of their players does something stupid and gets himself sent off early on. 3-0 down in the first leg at home, you're not coming back from that. It's just not going to happen. So, looks like our Champions League dreams are done. But, there's a lot that players need to answer for. So, first of all, we will talk about the things that we can't control. Philadelphia, God, from a neutral standpoint, I feel like only the Philadelphia fans could look at this game and be like, good job, guys. Because seriously, my God, this is why a lot of American people hate soccer. Because of stuff like this. When you got guys, stretcher comes out 5 minutes later after they've been treating him. He gets up and walks off and is instantly back on the field completely fine. That is what people hate about soccer. That is in a nutshell, the biggest thing that people hate about soccer. And to do it all game. God. I was already frustrated with our play, and then they were doing that. I'm like, mm, I really wanted to go punch some people in the face because of it. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously what they were told to do from the beginning because they were doing it in the first half all the time wasting. They were completely happy to just go home with a 0-0 draw, and then once we opened up on them, they took that gratefully. But also the ref, and it's funny. I was thinking about it earlier, and anytime I remember a referee in the MLS, not normally a good thing, because I know MLS referees are bad, and I think this guy's an MLS referee. I know we've had him before, because Jair Marufo sounds familiar to me. So whenever I remember you, that's not a good thing, because that means you did something that made me go, I'm not gonna forget your name, because you're an idiot. And tonight he showed it, which first half he actually wasn't bad. Like he carded a couple fouls, one for them, one for us, that were yellow card fouls, and he kind of kept it very tight but fair on both sides. And then the time wasting started, and it's like he was just letting it go, and that was building the tension. And then he started to let some of their fouls go, and that's building the tension. And he's still letting them waste time, and it's building the tension. And now they're going into challenges. There should be some yellow cards. He's not giving any, and he's just lost control of the game. And now we all hate him. So yeah, just it was like first half decent referee, second half who is this guy? And somebody give me his home address so I can go and I can egg his house because he deserves it after that performance. But those are the things we can't control. Here's what we can ourselves. Yeah, performance wise, first half, eh. We created some chances, but we didn't put it away. Didn't really let them have much. And then second half, stopped creating chances, gave them the goal, and then just opened up, got desperate, opened up even more, gave them another goal, and it just, I mean, it's stuff that you've seen for years. And the thing is, Gabriel Heinze, he's not, like, it's not like he's new to the sport. He knows this sport. He's been playing this sport before. He knows you don't open up in these situations. You don't give them a chance to just constantly counter on you. But we did. So why didn't we kind of, why didn't we play smarter? Why didn't we start knocking it around, keeping possession and just wearing them down, making them work, instead of just, oh, let me just boot it long. Oh, we lost possession. Oh no. Well, let me push up a little bit. Oh, well, now I'm getting beaten behind. Like it just seemed like we set ourselves up to get countered on. And that's what they were going to do. Like, that's what they were trying to do from the very beginning. Once you give up that first goal, now they're going to set in even more and counter on you even more. And we opened ourselves up to that even more. So, I don't know what his plan was. I don't know what his plan after we went a goal down was. But from what I've seen, I'm a little worried. Because anytime we go down a goal now, I'm going to be concerned that we're going to lose big. Because it doesn't seem like we have an answer for that. But also talk about the players a little bit. So Guzan, I mean, there's nothing he could have done for any of the goals. Like, first one, just like against Chicago, it's inside the 6, so I don't expect him to make that save. And then the other two, I mean, it's basically one-on-one chances because he was left stranded by his defense. So Robinson had a good first half, and then second half, mainly because we were so open, it felt like, he wasn't really as on top of things. Because first half, I mean, it felt like he was just shutting down everything that came his way. Second half, felt like he wasn't able to. It felt like he was constantly being caught out. He was beaten behind a couple times. And it's not like him. So I don't know why that was. I don't know if just mentality changed or if because we were so open, he was just caught off guard a couple times. But again, we need a leader back there. And maybe he's going to be the leader, maybe not. But second half, he didn't really have that leader mentality. It felt like he turned off with everybody else too. Franco seemed okay in the first half, but there were some moments that were a little iffy, and then the second half really showed some of his weaknesses. He's not that fast, so anytime we're going to push up, it's just going to be a ball in behind, and he's going to get beat by most of the pacey strikers. Like, there are several times where I'm thinking, my God, like, how? How is he beating you right now with pace? If you're going to stay that high, then you should be able to run back, but you don't look like you have the pace to do that. So why are we staying so high then? So that was concerning. And also, just there were moments where he's flying into challenges and diving in. And as soon as he gets beat, I'm like, you're done. You already don't have the pace to keep up with them. And now you're jumping into a challenge that all they did was just 1-2 you. And they're in behind you. And you're the last defender. So again, we paid DP money for him. I was hoping he was going to be a superstar. Based on tonight's performance, looked very average. Definitely not worth DP money. So maybe introduction to the league, new team, still figuring it out. Maybe he'll get better as the season goes on. Based on tonight's performance, though, doesn't look much of an upgrade from Walks, and that's concerning. Bello looked good in the attack. Defensively, still very shaky. Still very much unconvinced from his performances. He's still young, so he still has a lot of room to grow, but there are a lot of moments where I'm thinking, like, you got to start learning. You got to start, figuring out how to handle these situations, figuring out how to deal with balls in the air. Like, there's just so many moments defensively where I feel like he's not really reading the situations well, and he's getting put in situations where he's not really handling it. So it's frustrating to watch him sometimes. Mainly on the defense. Like I said, in the attack he does okay. He gets on the ball. He's very quick. Good in tight situations too. His crossing needs some improvement. A lot of his crosses tonight were just right into the first man. Not beating that first defender. But yeah, so hopefully, again, as the season goes on, as he gets a bit older and a little bit wiser, hopefully he can learn how to handle these situations defensively better. But at the moment, like, he's getting beat in the air way too much, and then also getting caught out too much as well. And then, again, I don't really know who our right back was, but I guess I'll talk about Ibarra. Okay, but again, he was all over the place. He's at right back, and then he has to step into the midfield, and then he has to go back to right back, and then he goes into the midfield. It's hard for me to really judge his performance, honestly, because I don't really think this is what he's intended to do. The games that I've seen him before, he seems like a decent midfielder. But whenever he's being asked to drop into right back whenever we don't have the ball, and then step into the midfield whenever we do, and then drop, and then step, it's hard to really get a gauge of what type of player he is in those moments. So I feel like that was just a poor decision from Heinze, and it kind of limited him as well. My biggest issue with him right now, though, is it feels like there are moments where he's kind of reacting a little too quickly. And instead of, like, reading the situation and figuring out what to do and kind of, I guess, analyzing everything happening, he just sort of goes running right in, and then a lot of the time that ends up with played right around him, and now he's beat. And that just happened a few too many times, so something he needs to start reading a bit better and start analyzing the play a bit better. Because, as a midfielder, you get beaten behind, now they're running right at your defense, so you can't really afford to get beat there. Sosa had his up and down moments. I think everybody had a decent first half, him included, and then second half, again, just some of his weaknesses started to show. He's not really a defender. It was shown very clearly a couple times the way he dove in. He's decent with balls in the air. Like, that's one thing defensively he does well. But when it comes to defending on the ground, a lot of times he ends up just kind of standing square instead of breaking down to defend. And so, unfortunately, if he's one-on-one defending, a lot of the time he's going to lose that battle. Unless it's somebody that's just not that fast, then he does okay. But if he's up against somebody that's got pace and can just knock it past him and go, unfortunately, he doesn't seem the type that's going to be able to defend well against that. His distribution is still fine, and that's one thing that obviously he does well. But if your distribution means you're finding a guy who's instantly under pressure, like, unfortunately, it doesn't help us much. He doesn't seem to find the distributing balls that are really picking apart the defense and kind of finding those passes in behind the defense, or unlocking it. Most of the time it's just spraying them out wide, getting it to guys that are in a bit of space. But because of how Philadelphia set up tonight, like, getting the ball out wide meant you're getting it out there and then there's nowhere to go from there, except just kind of down the line. And most of the time, unfortunately, they were ready for that. So, yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate that what he normally does well didn't really help us at all. Um, but I thought he worked hard at least, so it was good to see. Heineman um, looked a little out of his depth tonight. He's had moments where he seems like he can do that job in the midfield. The kind of it's not it's not really the right term, but the possession keeper. There's probably a better term for it, and I'm just too tired to think of it right now. But that kind of I think of like Nagby in that role. You know, the ability to keep possession in the midfield whenever pressure comes on. Those type of players that can get you out of a tight spot. He does that sometimes, but I feel like there are moments whenever the midfield for the other team is stacked with players that are strong or fast. Those are the moments whenever he's not quite strong enough or he's not quite fast enough. So unfortunately, those are the games whenever he struggles, and tonight was one of those games where I don't really felt like he was able to do that very well because unfortunately his turn led him right into trouble, or he wasn't able to turn, so he had to go backwards with it. So kind of a rough night for him, unfortunately, but it's just had to do with how the other team was set up. First, talk about Dom on the wings. So tonight really showed one of his big weaknesses, and that is too many touches. And I'll say the same thing about Moreno. Both of them way too many touches tonight. A lot of moments where it feels like just get rid of it. Do something with it. Okay, you've got the touch, do something with it. Touch, 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 touch. Now 10 people are in the box. It was a 3v3, now it's a 3v10. Good job. And it's just too many times. You know, and I get the fact you don't want to rush it and put in a bad ball, but also, what are you doing with the ball right now? You're not doing anything with it. You're staying where you are. Like, sure, going backwards is not ideal, but the positions that he put himself in tonight, it feels like he's just basically running into trouble. And it hurt us several times. Like, there were so many moments, in especially the beginning of the first half, where it seemed like we were getting ahead of steam. It felt like we were really pushing, and we might, possibly get a chance off. Ball goes out to Dom. Touch, 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 touch. Backwards, backwards, backwards. And then pass, 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 pass. Ball goes out to Dom. Lost it. Too many times. And it just, I don't know if it's because he's just not a starter. Maybe he's better coming on later. But especially, against a team that looks to sit in, he really struggles. It felt like he was completely just useless tonight against a team that's going to pack it in. So I don't know if we're just going to expect that from most teams that are going to come here, that they're going to look to pack it in. But if that's the case, then Dom's not your player. Like, he's not good enough to really get behind the defender and get a good cross in or beat the defender with pace. Like, he's better whenever he has plenty of room to run and the other team stepped out. Now he's getting in behind him. Like, that is his best area. But even then, he wasted a couple chances where he was in behind him tonight. So tonight was just not a good night for him, and he unfortunately was the focal point for a lot of missed opportunities. And obviously, he wasn't the only one. Barco missed some opportunities. Joseph did, and Moreno did as well. But he was the one that missed, I think, the biggest wide open opportunities where, you're through, you're in, get a good pass in, get a good cross in, have a good shot, and he hardly did. So, yeah, in my opinion, probably the one that, I'm not going to say he cost us the game, but the one that probably could have won us the game and failed to do so. Moreno on the other side, same issue, too many touches, but he was a bit more effective. He did create some good chances that weren't finished off. So the final ball was there from him more than from Dom, which is why I thought it was weird that he was the one to get subbed off for Mulroney instead of Dom. A little strange. But yeah, pretty effective on the ball, pretty effective in tight spaces. The one issue he has is just, again, too many touches. You're past the guy, sending a cross. Nope, you cut it back. And now he's reset himself, and now he's winning the ball. And it just, there were too many times where it felt like he really didn't read the situation well. There was a good pass on, or, he beats the guy, but then he doesn't get a cross in, and he thinks he can still, maybe get a cut back. I don't know. It seemed like he didn't have good decision making skills in the vital opportunities. Um, but then again, he did create some of our better opportunities as well. So it was kind of an up and down night for him as well. Not nearly as frustrating to watch as Dom. Barco was very lively throughout the game, but unfortunately, not a lot of that came to much of anything, which is weird. But I think that was also by design from Philadelphia. I think they looked to try to put two or three guys on him at all times, so he didn't really have room to operate. So it's something he's got to figure out. Like, it probably needs some more help from the people around him. More of them opening up the space, more of them getting in good spaces for them to run onto passes from him, because he was working hard for a lot of the game, but just felt like he wasn't really getting a whole lot of help. And so they were closing him down very quickly when he got up there, and he didn't really have room to do much of anything, unfortunately. So, but I thought he was probably our best performer throughout the night. So hopefully he can keep that momentum going, and hopefully this doesn't like drop his confidence levels, because the way he's playing right now, he's looking good. So if he can keep that up, a better night where the team opens up against you a bit more, I'm sure you'd be a lot more effective. Joseph, first start since returning, and still looks a little less than 100%. Had a couple good moments here and there, but I think he's still a little scared to really go full out. There was a moment where it looked like he pulled up and he might have felt a little something. So I think he's still a little scared to really push himself. And unfortunately, until he gets past that mental block, like, he really won't be the player that he was a few years ago. So it's going to be the one thing that defines his season, is can he get past the mental block of I don't want to hurt anything. And if he can, then great. I think he still has the capability of being the greatest striker in the MLS, like we've seen. But if he can't, then I feel like it's going to be a very average season for him. So we'll see what happens there. As far as the subs that came on, none of them really came on and changed the game that much. First one, I think Mulroney came on for Moreno. And Mulroney came on with energy, but he didn't really provide anything that Moreno didn't. Honestly, again, like I said, I think he should have come on for Dom, because then with Mulroney and Moreno, I think that's a lot more dangerous of an attacking threat than Moreno and Dom, or Mulroney and Dom. So I just feel like, again, Dom wasn't really doing much with the opportunities. Moreno missed some opportunities as well, but also created more than Dom did. So I don't know. I think you move Moreno out to the right. I think he's more effective out there than the left, and then Mulroney's good on the left. I think that's a good option to have. But for some reason, Heinze didn't do that, and failed to score. So I don't know if putting Mulroney and Moreno on at the same time would have worked to score, but clearly the other option didn't. So yeah. The next sub, I know Eric Torres came on. I think he came on for Ibarra, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was our last sub, actually. I don't think we made any other subs after that. Pretty sure. But yeah, I thought Torres looked okay. I liked his work ethic, but the problem with him is that it feels like he doesn't quite have the finishing capability. Because he worked really hard. He tried to get on the ball as much as possible and tried to make stuff happen, but just felt like the talent level wasn't quite there. The quality on the ball wasn't quite there either. So I don't know. He was a good option to bring on to inject a little bit of energy near the end, but also some of that energy made it a little bit more hectic and opened us up a lot more too, which then led to more goals. So again, I don't understand why after the first goal it wasn't, hey, let's calm down. Let's keep playing our game. We can still try to get one, but let's not completely open ourselves up to get just hit on the counter more and more. I don't know why that wasn't the option. Instead, Heinze, it felt like he really opened us up even more, took off the right back to put on another attacking player, and then look at that. We gave up 2 more goals. So, yeah, it's disappointing, and I hope it doesn't define our season because, frankly, if it ends up starting to turn bad, I don't know if I'll be able to watch. Honestly, having to sit there and wear a mask for 3 hours to watch that crap, I mean, that's not fun. It's not what I want to do. If I'm gonna wear a mask, I want to be entertained. I don't want to sit there and not be able to breathe and have to watch our team get completely crushed. So it's just all of it was very frustrating. The way we played, the way Philadelphia played, the way the ref was. I mean, it was a frustrating night for us. So we need to bounce back. So hopefully next week, taking it to them. I mean, I think this is the first time we've lost at home in the Champions League. So there is that too. It's something that we've got to prove ourselves from here. We've got to prove that this was just a blip. This is not going to be the rest of our season. And if not, I mean, it's going to be a little worrying, honestly. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe. Future Atlanta United reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.